In Chicago and elsewhere, Latinos converting to Islam. That is the title of the video uploaded by Chicago Sun-Times.
Until this day, I kind of try to go back in my mind and my life and try to pinpoint moments in my life where I noticed that that was an impact on where I'm at now. When we first moved to this neighborhood, it was predominantly white. Not a lot of Mexicans, but then it all became Mexican. Anywhere you go, it's like white neighborhood, Mexican neighborhood, black neighborhood, so we kind of never really intermingle with each other.
مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
I am Mexican and Palestinian. We were...
What?
I am Mexican and Palestinian.
What does that mean? She is Mexican and Palestinian. Does it mean... How does it mean that one of her parents is Mexican and one is Palestinian, or for whatever reason, if his lineage is Mexican but he lives in Palestine? I'm not sure how to make it that she is both Mexican and Palestinian. I cannot figure it out. If you can, please help me. I'm trying to understand what that means.
We were raised with Palestinian culture pretty much my whole life. So a lot of the people that we talked to and associated with were Palestinian Muslim. Until just recently, I've been researching more and trying to get closer to the religion and learn more about the faith. The reaction I get among non-Muslims is they're surprised that I'm Latino and Muslim. The reality is that Islam is diverse and there's so many people converting to it, especially in the United States.
So I'm trying to understand, because the way she tells the story afterwards is she's mainly Mexican, if I'm understand correctly. So what part of it is Palestinian? Because if someone is known to be Palestinian, I don't think people will be surprised that he or she will be a Muslim, right? But if she's a Mexican, then I can understand why people would be surprised. But I'm still figuring out what that means when she said she's both Palestinian and Mexican.
I was born into a Catholic family. My parents were Catholic. We were raised Catholic. At first I thought it was like the Arabs, I thought Christians were white, Catholics are Mexicans, and blacks are Baptists, and Arabs are Muslims, Traumatic experiences in my life, I don't know, I guess I would say it hardened my heart towards God and religion, or faith. I was a heavy drinker and heavy drug user. I smoked marijuana was my drug, a lot. And then I ended up going to prison. I did the 2 years in prison as a Muslim, but I was still in the gang life. So I came home, and I came home to this neighborhood. No Muslims around me.
Wait. When he was in prison, he was already a Muslim? Did I hear it correctly? Meaning he actually already become a Muslim before?
Even though my intention was to pursue my life in Islam, I fell right back into the same life. I didn't relate to my parents. It's so difficult to have a religious conversation with people who are not really open to listen about something else.
There's a lot of Latino Muslim people who converted to Islam, and because they converted, their families are mostly Catholic and they don't celebrate Ramadan. They don't have that sense of community or family who is also practicing. So they're sort of in the same situation as I am, because a big part of Ramadan is bringing people together.
Thank you very much for attending our first iftar as Ohala Foundation. Just to let you guys know, I am going to speak in English first, and then I will translate later in Spanish. So in my case, I did take Shahada with my mom when she married my dad when I was about 10 years old. It was hard realizing that I would have to do this journey by myself because my family wasn't really practicing at the time and I didn't have any Muslim friends. I also did learn that if you don't have someone to look up to, then it's your responsibility to become that person for somebody else.
So her story is she enters Islam because of the marriage of the parent, right? So she was practically forced into it due to circumstances, I believe. But then she is the one that finding how to become a better Muslim because the family is not practicing, right? So interesting. So circumstances have it that, meaning in that sense she is lucky that circumstances drive her towards becoming a Muslim officially, but then the challenge is that she is the one who have to take the initiative to understand the religion because the family is not practicing. So interesting. So they are praying in the basketball court, is it? So that is becoming the prayer room for Ramadan, I guess.
So I left in 2007, came home in 2009. In 2010, I went back to prison and didn't come home until 2015. I ended up catching a federal case. My minimum was 30 years and my maximum was life. But I remember that one day just asking God, like, man, help me. Give me something, some type of sign or something. They put me in a cell by myself and I find 2 books, James Patterson and a Quran. And in my 8 years of being in prison, I've never, ever, ever seen a Quran laying around anywhere. And I remember reading a passage that said, do you think that just because you say that you believe that you're not going to be tested? I didn't end up having to do 30 years. So the rest of this time in prison, I just stuck by the Muslims, ordered, books about Islam, read as much as I could, and just learned how to pray, fasted, and just avoided everything. Surprisingly, there are a lot of Muslims in prison. I met Cubans, Colombians, Puerto Ricans. This is the Quran I had during my last prison.
So does it mean that many Muslims actually have a trouble with the law or something? But from his story, because it's not clear how he actually become a Muslim, but what is clear is that despite being officially a Muslim, he's not really practicing until that point when he is affected by that verse and then try to learn about Islam. So it's basically the journey to become a practicing Muslim, but the journey before officially being a Muslim, I'm not sure how did he become officially a Muslim.
So the first time I made the declaration of faith, I did it on my own. Like any other decision in my life, I always thought that the only person that would be affected by this decision would be me. And just like any other decision in my life, I was wrong.
So meaning something happened that he decided to become a Muslim and do that by himself. Perhaps he watching YouTube videos and I want to become a Muslim and just go through the process himself. Is that the picture that I'm having?
Is your mom more comfortable with you wearing the hijab now?
Yeah, she still calls me crazy girl.
My mom tried on the hijab just
Just to try it?
just to try it. She's a little bit more accepting now. I had to explain how it was really meaningful to me. Took her like a couple months, and now
Your mom is happy with it now?
she's happy with it. Did you feel like you had to wear it like right after converting?
I actually wanted to wear it since I converted. My mom and my dad, because they're very Catholic, and I was just so afraid of their reaction. I guess they haven't seen anybody wearing hijab in Mexico. I walk and I go like this and I turn back. The guy looked like he looked at me like, like, and then they went back and looked at me like, what's going on? And actually, when I was crossing the border, my cousins were like, oh my God, they're gonna think you're a terrorist. They might not let us in.
The sisters have, I think, the hardest job of representing Islam, like, because they can't hide. You know, the sisters that cover up, like, they can't go anywhere and not be Muslim. Two, these are the clothes that I have. They're inside out because I just washed them. I have black, white, pinstripe gray. That's my business one. And then I have this one too, dark blue. And it's, for me, it's like, I can go anywhere and people just like, oh, like, I got a beard. There's so much Arabic and Islam in Mexican culture. You know, every image that you see of the Virgin Mary, Fatima, Guadalupe, anybody that you want, whatever you want to call her, she's always covered. Even nuns, like, which is so ironic to me that people always point fingers at Muslim women. Oh, they're oppressed, they're oppressed. But it's like, well, a nun is not oppressed. She's completely covered.
This is my first Ramadan as a convert, but I fasted 2 years prior.
Just, this is besides the point, but it's quite interesting for these ladies here because they are all mic'd up for the video to capture the conversation, right? But does it affect the conversation that they have? I'm just interested in terms of the cinematography, or what, you know, how this video is being made, and because they are capturing the moment, and yeah, with the mic up, etc. So is this the normal conversation, or is it just tuned towards, you know, having some some taste of the topic itself?
Don't you guys think it's important to feel that, like, pain in your stomach to kind of like remind you of why we're doing it?
It was last Ramadan when we met her.
Yeah.
And my shahada.
Yeah.
You weren't Muslim, yeah.
No, I
Was that your
wasn't.
first iftar?
Yes, that was my first time. Did you tell anyone you were doing it, or you just?
No, I didn't tell anybody. When I said it, I was just like, oh my God, I'm doing this. Like, I couldn't even tell my family because they're very religious. I'm like, and that's sad, you know, that you can't go to your family.
Here you go. Take this one.
It's not authentic.
No, porque no tenía cilantro. It didn't have serrano. Like, I knew it was gonna come up. I knew that the conversation about, you know, terrorism and stereotypes, and I think that's one thing that either it can make you or break you. You could say, I want to break the stereotypes, or I'm scared of what others might say. Those insensitive comments still continue after so many years, especially for women, because, I mean, you see a man walking down the street and you wouldn't know that they're Muslim. But if you see a lady with a scarf, it's like automatic, it's an automatic sign. I feel like we're more targeted sometimes, just because of the way we look. When people bring up the conversation about 9/11 or terrorism, and I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's just like the guy said earlier, right? In this case, that the dress code for women in Islam is more obvious compared to men, right? We have a dress code also, but it doesn't appear to be different than normal dressing way, right? Unless if your surrounding is basically people are in their underwear or something, right? So it will be different because you are close more. But because most guys just dress, they cover what need to be covered in terms of the aura already. But for women it's different. And that have an impact also in terms of, like the guy said, we do not feel that responsibility to carry on the being example of a Muslim, right? So that tend to happen, I think.
The real Islam is just so away from it. It's not even close to it. that you don't even think about it, you know? And the people that know that I'm a Muslim, they're like, well, you're Latina, and you know, the whole issue with like our president, and then you're Muslim, and the whole issue with him and Muslims, and it's like, you're attacked from both sides now.
So people get caught up in the, oh, during Ramadan, oh yeah, you just don't eat, you just don't eat. But it's not just about not eating. So it kind of humbles you. It's a time really for reflection. 1 month out of the year for you to get yourself, your soul, you know, your mind and your body, everything together in one thing. Prison is a bad place, but it was such a good place too. Like there were so many people that didn't know anything about Islam, but knew that Muslims fasted during Ramadan. The first year I was out, they were having an event for the Eid, like for the end of Ramadan, and I went there. So I went and I started, you know, I prayed the prayer, and at the end I started introducing myself to Muslims, and they were, in the beginning, because I look Arab, they were like really open, you know, and you know, accepting, like, hey, and you know, having conversations with me. And then people's eyes started to wander, and they would say things to me like in Arabic, and I would be like, oh no, Mexique. And I remember that first time, it was like a horrible feeling, man. I felt so welcome, and immediately everything turned around. And then they saw my tattoos, and then they were just like, oh, and then they get to talking in Arabic, and then it was like shun. And I never felt so alone in a place where there was so many people. Horrible feeling. And I know I'm not the only person. There's other reverts that feel that way. Latinos were not really accepted anywhere. We're not Arabs and we're not black.
So that experience is, unfortunately, if it happened, it's, yeah. I remember in France when in one of the prayer, the guy next to me, suddenly I saw that all the tattoos, I mean, on the arms and until the legs, right, from the portion that I can see, right. So Muslim that is born into Muslim family will not be accustomed to that view, I think, right, because it's prohibition. We cannot do that, right. So Muslim that is Muslim throughout their life, you don't have that, right. So for a river that unfortunately, you know, basically based on their own history, they already have that on their body. When they become Muslim, the reaction can be sometimes, because we do not know how to control. What else if someone actually still have that negative perception to the person based on his past, you know, before he become a Muslim. So yeah, it happens, and we should deal with it better, I think.
Let's see how it tastes with honey, because these are pretty disgusting. Oh, it tastes way better. This Ramadan has been a huge trial for me, between dealing with my injury before surgery, and now it was fighting between taking medication and not taking medication, and trying to fast and then not being able to fast. And it's just like, this definitely has been a very testing Ramadan. Okay, so we got like 57 minutes and 55 seconds for the next prayer. Well, it's supposed to be this way, northeast. My faith has been wavering. I have highs and lows, just like anybody else.
So just a comment on the whole video. It seems like it is intended to be captured in a soap opera-ish way. I don't know if that is what they are going for, because there are moments like, because just now he like searched the compass for the direction of the qiblat, right, to face the direction for the prayer. But that, I mean, that is not logical in the context that if this is his house, it wouldn't be this is the first time he want to pray and want to know the direction, for example, right? So this is the first video I think that I react to that is made in this way, where I think there's the production side from the Chicago Sun-Times or something. I'm not sure who actually captured these videos, right? But the whole thing is made to, I don't know, I'm not saying it is being dramatized or something, but yeah, there's something quite interesting in the way that they capture this conversation.
Every Muslim, no matter where you are, you're all praying at the same time and you're all praying in the same direction.
Okay, so that is the video. Not sure if the production is made by the Chicago Sun-Times themselves, or because there's video by someone just now. Perhaps it's produced by that name and then submitted to the Chicago Sun-Times. Yeah. Again, going back to the title of the video, it's "In Chicago and Elsewhere, Latinos Converting to Islam." But the whole video is not focusing on the converting part. It's basically what is the, I don't know, the experiences, the life. It's just perhaps they want to humanize these Latinos who are Muslim and just see certain portion of their life, just to understand more. Perhaps that's what their angle is, but it's not really focusing on the converting to Islam part. Initially, because just going by the title, I'm hoping to see is there any trend or is there any reason why they embraces Islam. And even for the story here, that portion is not really being tackled or elaborated, in my opinion. It's more on afterwards, the challenges that they have. I'm not saying those are not interesting or those are not important, just that because I'm expecting something when I read the title of the video. So that's why that's the reason I want to watch, and unfortunately that's not the focus of the video, hence I'm a little bit disappointed in a way. But inshallah, hopefully all the best for the guy there. He seems to be facing some challenges. The girls, from what it looks, they have the trio there that support each other, so that's good. For the guy, hopefully he have some support system around him, otherwise it will be continue to be challenging, I guess. But anyway, so that's the reaction for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.